Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. In this video, we are going to learn how to create a button that whenever we click on it, it does something on our screen. This is going to be an important skill that we need for the projects that are coming up in a little while. So let's get into how to create a button on the screen. First thing we want to do is let's hide our turtle. So we can use this function, hide turtle, to get rid of our turtle on the screen. Then we need to create a variable that holds a reference to our screen. The reason why we're doing this is because at the very end of this, at the very bottom of this project, we are going to have an event basically called an onClick function. That is an event that is looking for anytime you're clicking on the screen. Whenever you click on the screen, it's going to do something if we're clicking in the right place. So we need to create a variable to the screen so that we can sense the screen whenever the screen is clicked. And I just said screen way too many times. So let's say it again. Screen equals turtle.screen. And screen needs to be capitalized there because that's what it's looking for specifically. Okay, so now let's draw a button on our canvas here. So first, let's create, because we're going to use multiple turtles in this project. Before, we've only used one turtle the whole time. But anytime we're using multiple turtles, we're going to want to create separate variables to hold those turtles so that we can tell each turtle individually what to do. So we're going to call this turtle button. So we'll say button equals turtle.turtle. Okay, turtle.turtle, just like that. Turtle.capital turtle. It's basically saying this turtle right here is going to be called button. So anytime we want to draw something with the turtle that we're currently working with, we're going to call it button, and we're going to call button. So for example, let's say button.hide turtle. So we have a new turtle and we're calling it button and we're hiding it right off the bat. Then let's set the speed for button to 0 so everything happens instantly. Let's pull our pen up. Let's go to the correct place, which is going to be -50 by -50. So roughly here-ish. Okay. Then let's change the color to whatever color you want for your button. I'm going to make mine orange, if I can spell it correctly. Then let's turn to the right by 45 degrees because we're going to use that circle function to create a rectangle. And whenever we use the circle function to create a rectangle, it creates a diamond instead. So we're going to turn to the right 45 degrees so we create a square instead of a diamond. Let's put our pen down. Then let's begin our fill. None of this is really new. This is all basically review from what we've done before. Let me give myself some room on the screen. So button begin fill. Let's create our square. So circle. 75. Oh, nope, that is not 75. What happened to my brain? 360 and 4. And button dot end fill. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see if we create a button in the middle of the screen. And we do. Okay, so there's a nice big orange button that we can click on. Perfect. Next, let's add some text to this button to kind of give you some instructions. We're going to call this text label. So let's say label the button. And we'll create a new variable called label, and we'll set it equal to turtle.turtle. And we're going to create a new turtle and use that to write some text. Let's hide the turtle. And then let's change the color to, you know what, white text will look pretty good inside that button. So label dot color. white. Okay. And then we're going to use a function called write. Write is going to allow us to put some text on our screen. So label.write. Now, this function can take a lot of different arguments. First is the text that we want to write on the screen. So we'll say click me. Now, if I were to run this, notice that it creates my text, but it kind of puts it in a weird spot. I actually want it centered, and it's really small, and I want to change the font. So there are some other arguments we can give it. First of all, we can give it an align argument. So align equals center. That will put it in the middle of wherever I put it. We can also say font equals, and we're going to use some parentheses here to hold all of our font options. First, Arial, because Arial is the font I want, which it didn't really look like it changed much. Let's do Times New Roman, just so you can see the difference. And that didn't work either. Okay, well, let's ignore changing the font. Apparently that's not working for us today. I'll have to look that up later. But we can change the size of the font. Why is this not working? Let me write it all out and see what happens here. Arial 14 bold. Maybe we have to give it all of the arguments first. There we go. And it changed to Times New Roman. I actually want Arial because I spelled Arial wrong. That's why. So there we go. Arial 14 size, and it's bold. Okay, so now we have click me in the middle of my button. We can even probably make that bigger, or we can move it a little bit. That's fine. That looks fine to me. So now we have a label. We have a button with a label on it, but it doesn't do anything whenever I click on the button. Well, let's add some text up here. Let's do that. Let's make some text that shows up whenever we click the button. First, in order to make sure our text actually looks like it looks nice and looks like it's supposed to, let's put the text on the screen first, and then we'll get rid of it and we'll make it only show up when we click the button. So let's create the message. We'll call it the message display. And so let's create a new reference to our new turtle, turtle.turtle. What is going on with my typing today? And let's go ahead and hide that turtle as well. Message.hide turtle. Okay. Let's position this where we want it to go. So first, let's pull our pen up. Oop. Then let's go to 0 on the X and 100 on the Y. So we're going to put it up here. And then let's message.write button clicked. So we know that our button was clicked. And let's align it to center. And let's change the font to Arial. Let's make this 24 and bold. I forgot my quote there. Okay, so let's run that. So we have button clicked right there, but we don't want this to show up right away. What we want this to do is we only want this to run whenever we click the button here. Okay, so to do that, we're going to need a function. Okay, we're going to need to define a new function that will only run whenever this button is clicked. So let's define that function. So def equal, or def button, we'll call it button clicked. Okay, and it's going to take in two arguments. It's going to take in an X and a Y. Basically, it's going to take in wherever the mouse's X and Y are. Okay, so button clicked X and Y. Now we're going to write a line of code here that is going to look complicated, but I'll explain it as we write. Basically what we want to do is we want to determine if we clicked in the boundaries of this box, then we want to do the thing we're about to do. But if we didn't, we want to ignore it, right? So this if statement needs to check to see if our x is in between -50 and +50, and if our y is in between -50 and +50, because this box is 50 by 50 in the middle of the screen. So the way we can do that is we can say if -50 less than x less than +50. That's basically saying if x is in between -50 and +50, okay? And -50 less than y less than +50. So that's saying, and our y is in between -50 and +50. So this is checking for both of those at the same time because we're using that and, right? Perfect. So if that's the case, then we'll say message.clear, meaning we'll clear out the message. And we're going to move this message right line that we just wrote. We're going to move that down here because we actually want that. Oh, let me make sure I get the right indentation. Because we only want that to show up when we've clicked the button, right? So it'll clear out whatever message is already there, and it will write button clicked, okay? Now, the last thing we need to do, if we run this, nothing's happening. It's not actually working the way we want it to. The reason why is because we've only defined this function. We haven't actually called the function. So this is where that screen comes into play, where it says screen equals turtle.screen. We created a variable to hold screen for this exact purpose. What we're going to do is we're going to say screen.onClick. What that means is whenever we click on our screen, we want to call a function. And the function we want to call is button clicked. So we're going to call it button underscore clicked. So now, whenever we click the screen, it's going to call this function. If we've clicked within these parameters, it'll do the thing we want it to do. If we didn't click within those parameters, it won't, right? So let's run it and test it. So I'm going to run it. I'm going to click outside the box. Notice that nothing's happening. But if I click inside my button, we get our message. And that is basically how to create a button in Python Turtle that works the way you want it to. Okay? Perfect. All right, so go ahead and create your button. And whenever you're done, turn this in, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.